I wanted to begin today's discussion with a scenario that occurred recently in the second week of November, as another drone stopping play occurred during a game where the Baltimore Ravens were facing against the Cincinnati Bengals. Play was suspended for multiple minutes before resuming, and the drone pilot was arrested. However, not before the Department of Homeland Security raised their concerns because of the sheer amount of game stoppages and panics for the exact same reason. This is all because of a drone, now a massive controversy in today's world. But what are drones? And where did they originate from? Drones are aerial aircrafts with no human pilot or crew on board. They can be single rotor like an airplane, or multi rotor, which is the footage you see now. Drones typically have a GPS system to track their location, as well as a video comm system to see its position in real time, and a radio comm system in order to control the aircraft. Drones were actually invented in 1830s, being bombs strapped with explosives. But as of current, there are 300,000 certified pilots and more than 800,000 registered drones. Even so, the public safety and privacy are still compromised due to there being no safe drone integrations into the airspace. The NFL speaks on this as there have been over 2,500 incursions over packed stadiums in just 2023 alone. This is why we need to advocate for how the United States handles the controversy of drones, including recreation and commercial drone laws, as well as development for finding and removing malicious drones. As of current, there are two main issues which press the status quo, one being privacy and the other being public safety. As drones continue to evolve, privacy is becoming a sparse luxury. Drones can look through windows, invade backyards, and provide unconsented surveillance into your house and home, even going as far as to hacking into private confidential servers. Don't believe me? An article by Van Gemert writes about a reported drone that stole precious information from a financial firm in October of 2022. This is now dubbed the future of bank robbery. This shows how commercial stakeholders now need to be extra careful to protect their information. This leads into our second issue of public safety, as there are no safe way to integrate drones into the airspace. A man named Gondek writes in his article about the issue saying, drones don't discriminate against their targets. Research by the University of Dayton, Ohio also shows how a drone can cause catastrophic damage to an aircraft, taking out turbines or making entire wings inoperable in the span of a second. These issues leave a stain on recreational users, for as the controversy boils, fewer and fewer drones are perceived as useful tools. But how big is the drone industry today if they are considered tools? Well, the drone market is actually booming at the current time, as the US drone market was estimated at just under 11 billion and projected to be 54.8 billion by 2025. And while there are many stakeholders, we will be focusing on two of them, those two being commercial flyers and recreational flyers. Commercial flyers have a socioeconomic state. Let's take Amazon, for example. Drone Life, an article by Miriam McNabb, explains how Amazon began their development of drone delivery. And while a certified drone carrier, the jobs of people in delivery service may now be endangered by the industry. Luckily, for the current time, it is only in two locations, with only a 4-mile radius. But as it continues, it will only get worse. In a few years, Amazon's 275,000 drivers might have their jobs lost due to this technology. This does not include FedEx, AliExpress, Walmart, UPS, and far more. Keep in mind that this is also only the delivery industry. And before the 66.8 predicted growth rate for the commercial industry as a whole by Insider Intelligence. It is no secret that people's jobs are at risk. And for recreational flyers, the regulatory review states that from state to state regulations, they've begun taking more effect on recreational flyers. This affects them as because it becomes increasingly harder to host events which brings equity and money and interest into the world of drones in the first place. But what caused these issues in the first place? And why can't we fix them? Well, the reasonings are actually one and the same. For one, the FAA can't actually keep up with the technology increase. And now, because of it, there's a lack of proper legislation on the topic. Don't believe me? A Grand Review research article writes that, that there is a technological growth rate of just under 14% in 7 years. Still not convinced? Let's reference one of my drones that beats regulation by just 1 gram. But what happens if a person decides just to not register their drone at all, even if they had to register? Well, the FAA cites that they can't actually track the drone in the first place. An article by Mark Rutherford called Defense Solutions writes further on this, as drones copy radio frequencies that everyone uses in everyday operations, like Wi-Fi signals. This makes tracking drones nearly impossible, and shutting down the drones would mean that you would have to shut down normal operations. The only solution that the FAA actually came up with for this issue flopped, as people stated that they were getting punished for taking the legal route. The FAA also has only one list of regulations, which blurs the lines between recreational and commercial. The second issue is that there's no clear way to introduce drones in the airspace. Trip.com writes that there are over 100,000 manned flights in a day, and trying to keep drones from interfering with those flights is no small task. The US Government Accountability Office also writes that the FAA struggles to create milestones, and any strategies that they have failed to provide any reputable or tangible results. This leaves us as a standstill at what to do, as the Government Accountability Office continues to work with the FAA to produce any tangible results. And this is exactly why I wish to advocate. And the first thing I want to advocate about is making the laws more clear-cut. With the industry projected at 54.81 billion and the technological growth rates, we need to push the FAA, which is the direct actor of drone laws, to make the laws of aviation more clear-cut. By defining and clarifying the laws, companies and recreational users can be more perceptive and inclined to follow the law. This also helps in making sure that all pilots know and understand the legal ramifications of the law. By doing this, responsible drones will be promoted instead of seen as a reckless and self-promoted endeavor. It also allows the government to pin accountability on a pilot who is actively performing malicious flights. The second thing I want to advocate about is the implementation of German platforms to track drones. As in 2022, Germany launched a digital platform that easily displayed the locations of drones with the inclusion of other features such as proper geographic flight areas, route planning, weather, online permits, and far more. This has caused Germany to not only keep up with every drone, but caused them to become a prime tech spot for drone advancements across the world. Their version of FAA's Remote ID was widely successful due to not needing to attach expensive hardware to your equipment. And by adopting a similar system into the United States, we can finally solve the issues of integrating drones into the airspace as well as personal security. We can now successfully keep track of safe and unsafe drones in the airspace. And by doing this, we can balance security with personal rights protections. Naturally, after advocating for something like that and having it developed, we also need to complete developments to take out malicious drones once they're spotted. The first option would be drone position manipulation, DPM, which gives the ability of government officials to spoof signals, aka copy them, and take control of a rogue drone. In doing so, we can move a dangerous drone to a safe location before dispatching of it. And this is seen to be an incredibly accurate and successful method. A second method would be an adaptation from the Dutch, as they have found great success with taking drones out of the sky with birds of prey. And another adaptation of this would be from America, as they have designed drones to fight fire with fire, quite literally sniping drones out of the air. Before wrapping up, it's important to address the criticisms to our solutions. We do understand as change can be met with skepticism. The first one being that some argue that stricter regulations go against personal privacies. And while we respect privacy, it must be understood that we need to place a balance between privacy and personal safety. And to succeed in our goal, personal privacy must be protected, but not at the expense of personal safety. It's also worth considering the technological impact the proposal has on businesses. Having a stricter regulatory framework on drones can cause the technological advancements of drones to slow. However, with the speed at which technology advances, slowing down could be seen as an asset in this process. Trying to keep up with a constant evolution of technology is no easy task, and by slowing it down, we can create a more manageable infrastructure for our laws regarding the subject. In conclusion, it is important to understand that these are not theoretical proposals. It is an important path that we need for a safer drone ecosystem in the community. And by taking action and advocating for our solutions, we can ensure that drones will still be an incredible tool without compromising the status quo. Thank you for your time.